All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Joel Fernandez, and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to my Gateway Experience episode 13. Today's Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. And yeah, thank you for tuning in to my experience here. It's currently 11:31 a.m. and I woke up later. The purpose of these videos is to document my journey through the different focus tapes of the Monroe Institute's Gateway experience. There are a total of 6 waves, and I'm currently on the first wave, and today was my last day, my 10th time doing the advanced focus 10 tape. And I'll be moving on to the next one that comes after that. I think it's focus 12, and I'm looking forward to it. And so if you are not familiar with any of these videos and you are just tuning in for the first time, do go ahead and check out my other videos, as I will be referencing quite a few of those points that I made and some of the dreams that I've had and some of the experiences that I've had in this video. So that's pretty much my intro, and I'm just going to jump straight into it. I woke up at like 9 a.m. this morning. I had a meeting set up for 10:20, and I did that. And I had an interview set up for 11. So even though it's 11:32, I didn't get to that interview, so I'm going to have to reschedule it as I am in a job search right now. And these things are slightly relevant just because of my relationships that I've had and the dream that I had last night. I don't really want to talk about too much. I just want to talk about my experience today. And I went ahead when I woke up and I did my morning routine like I usually do. And then I did my advanced Focus 10 practice. And after that, I took a shower and then I jumped into that meeting that I had with that lady. And that was just to help me plan and organize through a strategy that we have for business building. But like I've said before, this isn't so much about business, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. I would much rather talk about my experience. And my experience was good. I thought a little bit about the dream that I had, and I went ahead and did my resonant energy breathing. And I gotta say, I'm not really feeling any anxiety. I'm not feeling it, just doesn't affect me. Maybe I did when I woke up, but after doing my practice, I just feel none of it. It just helps me so much to be present in the moment. And that's because we put everything into the energy conversion box, and then we do our rebal. And well, after we do our resonant energy breathing, we do our rebal, and then we do our focus 10. And because today is the last day, and yesterday I wrapped up, and I think I've made some really good points, kind of catching everyone up to my progress so far, I want to really hammer in and build on that today. And what I mean by that is because we are able to relax our bodies and we're able to be in a peaceful and really calm state, I am becoming more and more aware of these higher energies and paying more and more attention to what kind of energy I have when I'm going on about my day. And that's a little bit vague, and I know that and I understand that. That's why I feel like it's very important to watch the other videos and really pick up all the things that I've talked about, as far as beginning with the end in mind and walking into the future and not forcing things and allowing grace to happen, and these kinds of concepts, because I have noticed that in my life, and I would even take a venture out and say that it's not just me, that it's most people. I would say that it's most people. I would say that it's more than 50%. It's 51%, if not more. I would actually go ahead and say it's 90% of people are creating their life based on survival. And because they're creating their life based on survival, they are using this emotion called fear, to drive them, to motivate them to do things. And that's a huge no-no, I believe, because when we're using fear to motivate ourselves and to be driven, it becomes a habit. And when we're driven by fear and we're driven by this negative emotion, it's only logical to expect negativity in return, right? I think that's what most people are just basically barely scraping by, and they're not really living in abundance. And so the way to live in abundance and the way to create from a different point of view is to be calm and to be peaceful and to have that relationship with the quote unquote higher power, however you want to call it. I'm not here to preach, I'm just here to give people tools. And my main takeaway from my experience, I think at the end of the day, that's what it always comes back to, is that source. And I've kind of alluded to it in a couple of my other videos. And what I mean by that source is just love, is just peace, is just being able to create from that point of view. From praying, for example, is one tool that people use, praying and asking for things, but you got to do it the right way. I'm not necessarily praying because I'm taking full responsibility and I'm just visualizing things the way I want them to be and allowing myself. I think that I don't want to get too much into like the other energy systems, and kind of do a compare and contrast. That's not something that I want to get into. So I'm just going to talk about the positives of the Monroe Institute's methods and the energy system. Being that by allowing ourselves to build that relationship with our calm self, with our higher self, with our creative self, with the source of all creation, while we are in this focus 10, while we are in this calm, peaceful, deep, relaxed. This is what I've experienced so far. By doing it consistently and often, I have built that relationship with that uh, version of myself, which is the version of myself that I want to show up at every step of my path. And I want to create from that as well. And the reason being that that's the creator that I want to listen to. I don't want to listen to the destructing force that we all have inside of us. I would much rather listen to and walk in through the path of creation and the path of light and the path of love and the path of peace. And that's how we enter into heaven. And heaven is somewhere that I was just at in my practice. It was very interesting. I was like, I really felt like I could leave my body behind as I was in my Focus 10 this morning. And I really started to kind of judge myself, which is not something that I want to do, but I started to identify with my higher self. I started to identify with this um, voice in my head that is gentle and soothing and caring and always has the right answer that we don't always listen to. But when I identified with that voice, I started to really understand that we come from, that this is just one life, that this is just one of the lives that I've potentially lived, and that I started to realize all the mistakes that I've made throughout my journey so far, and the relationships that I've had, and their mistakes, and how they're not perfect, and how I'm not perfect in this body and form. But that voice that I was identified with for that moment is perfect. And that voice is all the things that I said before. And that's who I want to identify with more. And I know that it's a practice. And that's why I have to just keep doing the repetitions every day. And not only that, but that was my first focus one. Excuse me, my first focus 10. And then going into my second focus 10 in my practice, as we go from the focus 10 to the focus 1 and then to the focus 10 again, the second one wasn't quite as serene because for whatever reason, my situation here at home became very loud, and my son was running around screaming, and that's basically the only thing that I could focus on. But because of that, I was almost in two places at once. I was identified with my son screaming and all the chaos that was going on, but I was also being very present. And so I felt like my rebound grew much bigger. It wasn't just myself or my room in this office that I'm in. I really started to like kind of see through walls in a way. I felt like I could see what was going on outside with my eyes closed and using my other senses. I felt like I could really see him running. I felt like I could really see him um, making noise and where he was at. Emotionally, I was able to connect with him at a deep level and just being present. And I think that's what it comes back to is just being present. But I think a lot of the times it's hard for us to be present if we don't practice it and if we don't have a guide like the one here in the Gateway experience. And the guide that we have is very, very valuable because we are really doing a practice that isn't just meditating on certain aspects, but it's really rudimentary. It goes from your mind, quieting your mind from the focus three, to then going into breathing, resonant energy breathing, and then also going into a focus 10 to quiet your body. I felt like a lot of the times when I did meditation before, I wasn't, I was meditating on the wrong things. My emotions, I wasn't able to control them. But with these processes and these tools and these systems, we're able to really visualize and see what we're visualizing. And then also the tones and the it allows our brain to synchronize to a higher frequency. So I'm very grateful for this process, and I kind of analyzed it a little bit there. But it's good. It's good to step down sometimes from those higher levels, and that's part of going from the focus 10 to the focus 1, and then being able to go back to the focus 10. And so, yeah, I felt like I was at two places at once. I felt like my rebound grew to a very large size. I was being very present in the moment. And um, that's where I want to create from. I want to create from that point of view. I want to create from that higher self. I think that that's you reap what you sow. And so, what I'm sowing and what I want to keep sowing every day is good seed. And not only in my life with my relationships with my wife and my kids, but also with my relationships outwardly with other people. And that's where I think the real growth begins when we're not just identified with ourselves and our problems, but we can really start to really influence the rest of the world. So I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Only beginning, it's only episode 13, and we have seen so much growth already. And I'm excited to continue to see these higher energies and to utilize and control them for good. And so, if you have questions, you want to follow me along on this journey, you want to join in, maybe you have some feedback, feel free to comment down below, and I would love to interact with you there. Until next time, I will see you guys soon. Peace.